I've got something to say.
I've got something to say.
I've got something to say.
Yes, I really do have something to say.
I have a whole lot to say.
Sure, I've got something to say.
I've got something to say.
I surely have something to say.
I've got something to say.
Then say it. Contact me right here, right now. Thank you.
I got something to say. With Dr. Netreia leading the way.
Doug and Theresa Wall stood before us, carrying a weight no parent should ever have to bear. The loss of not one, but two precious babies. Yet instead of retreating into silence, they chose courage. They came to share their story, their tears, their faith, and their strength, so others would know they are not alone.
We're back again to I've Got Something to Say, and we have a couple who has a story to encourage you. Here we go. Tell us your story.
Well, we did share earlier about another, well, we have 7 children, 2 in heaven, 5 here on earth. The 2 in heaven are Courtney, who died of SIDS in 1988, and our second one was a little boy named Aaron. So the story we already shared about the loss of Courtney. So we had, at the time when I became pregnant with Aaron, we had 4. We had 4. We had, okay, Melissa, Jessica, Scott, and Brent. And here was number 5 coming along. We were so excited.
Okay, just for clarity, I want to make sure that they understand that you all have lost 2 children.
2 children.
And the oldest was?
3 months, and that was Courtney at 3 months of age. And Aaron, as you'll find out in the story, he lived about an hour.
Okay, so you lost both children before they were even 6 months old?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So during my, so we found out we were expecting, real excited. And then, you know, I had this experience, and looking back on it, I believe it was the Lord. I turned over one night in bed, and I felt like he impressed on me these words, "This baby is different." And at the time I thought, oh, whatever, you know, yeah, he's going to be different because we're different.
Right.
We're very different. So, and I'd had a number of pregnancies, but for some reason I was concerned with this pregnancy. By the time it was time to go in for, at this point, you had a standard routine sonogram at about 20 weeks.
Were you having any problems, or?
The things that, you know, as anyone who has had children knows, I didn't feel him kick as much as the other babies did. And I was having a lot of Braxton Hicks. Those are those practice contractions that you have before. You know, they're not labor, but they're just kind of like practice contractions for your for labor. So I was having a lot more of those, and I didn't feel him kick as much. And so the night before I was going to go in for the sonogram, I remember thinking, I was a little apprehensive. And I never am apprehensive. So, but we did. We went in. I'm laying there on the table, and they're doing the sonogram, and we had the kids in there with us, and you know, the person who's doing the sonogram was very tight-lipped and very quiet, and left the room, brought a doctor in, which gave me, I knew then there was a problem, because usually, you know, they don't bring in a doctor to look at a routine sonogram. So, but you know, no one told me anything, and went home. Later on that afternoon, got the call from the doctor that there was a slight abnormality in the, you know, actually in the results of the sonogram. So, what did that mean? They thought maybe there was water on the brain, that sort of thing. So, again, you know, after losing Courtney, and now the chance that we could have a real problem pregnancy just was...
It was overbearing.
It was, yeah, it was overwhelming. So So we waited a few days before we had to go in for another sonogram that was going to be more detailed. We went to UCST Center and had that sonogram where it was confirmed. Our baby, he had a condition called trisomy 18, and what it is, it's fairly common, but not that common. And I hope I explain it correctly, but every single cell in our body has 46 chromosomes, of which you have 23 pairs. So on the 18th pair, he had an extra one. He had 3, trisomy. So instead of 46, he had 47 chromosomes in all his cells, which causes big problems. You have all sorts of anomalies and problems that can occur. In his case, he had a very severe brain defect and basically didn't have the frontal lobe of his brain, so he didn't even know how to swallow. He couldn't swallow. He didn't have the responses to breathe. So in the sonogram, laying there on the table, you're just laying there forever. You know, what do you do? They did the amniocentesis that day, and it was confirmed later. I got the phone call. So,
just for another voice, where were you at this point?
Well, during the sonogram, as soon as the doctor found these,
looking at the brain, just could tell.
She could see in the brain
and the heart.
He also had a heart defect and a little arm that was shorter than the other. My heart just sank because we'd already lost one child, and I just thought, oh, not this again, not another baby. And that emptiness that I had when we found out about Courtney kind of came back, and it was just a shock that when you first found out.
Right. So it's almost like, because the birth went through anyway, right?
Yeah, apparently you can, because he wasn't swallowing, because babies in utero swallow and actually urinate inside the fluid was building up. So I was getting really, really big. I actually even got bigger than I was with the twins with Aaron, and he came 6 weeks early.
But you should also explain that the doctor gave us the option to terminate.
Oh, okay. This was very, and maybe I can give some encouragement here. At 19 weeks, we had the sonde. We found out about Aaron. So the options were: do you continue or do you terminate? And we both are, of course. I was raised pro-life. Okay, we are definitely never going to terminate the pregnancy. But I have to tell you, at that moment, I really wished I wasn't pro-life, because I just wanted to get out of this situation. I didn't want to face the complications of a baby that might be, special needs or whatever. At the moment, it was like, I know I can't do that, but at the same time, I really wanted to just get out of the situation. And I have to confess, being someone who is pro-life, you tend to think, oh, of course, who would? No, I totally can understand why anyone would choose that. I really wished I could have at the time. But then I also realized that whether you terminate the baby or whether you carry the baby to term, you are going to grieve that baby. Terminating the pregnancy, yes, that happens, and I know many people that have. You still grieve the baby. You can't just forget that baby didn't exist.
Yes.
And even if you do, there's always forgiveness. But that's the good news of the gospel.
How do you deal with that? I mean, what's going on in your head to prepare yourself for a time such as this? I mean, you all are not the only couple that have been told that the child that you're carrying has some type of something going on. How do we prepare minds of of people who are watching who are faced with the same thing. Should I keep my baby or should I not?
I understand. I mean, that's a personal decision, but I would say for us personally, we were, if we can, first of all, we didn't want to terminate for our personal reasons. The other thing was, you know, if God was going to heal him, let's give him an option. Maybe he can heal him. We believe in God still heals. So we wanted to give God all the options and opportunities, but we also wanted to give him every opportunity available in whatever small capacity we had to give him life. And if that meant, you know, I carried him 3 months. And
we prayed every day.
Every day, and our church prayed with us. Our church was such a great support, and there were the first few weeks. So we decided to carry him and see how far it went. And I did find out that the circumstances of the fluid buildup and just he was probably going to come early. We weren't going to make it to 40 weeks. As it is, he came about 34 weeks.
Okay, so tell me, how did he look when he was born? Did he look normal?
Okay, well, before that, I was just going to say, as you're carrying a baby that you don't know how long that baby's going to live. With trisomy 18, in his case, most live, they could maybe even live up to a week.
The doctor told us he'd live an hour.
But he had such a profound brain defect because of the breathing. He couldn't breathe, and you know, he only lived less. He lived
Tell me about the day he was born.
So, I actually started to have contractions because I had an irritable uterus. And I was sloshing around. I mean, I was huge. I was so uncomfortable. And I've had C-sections.
Okay,
I've had all
tell me about the baby.
So I knew he was going to be small. I'd done a lot more research, I think, than the doctor because it's such a rare condition. But so we had our church all come. They were all out in the waiting room. We had another woman that we had trusted.
Way to come in having church.
We had a friend. Her name was Barbara. She came in and was praying with us during the time because I'm on the table, and
we prayed for a miracle.
Yes.
But you know, I personally, I know they were all praying for a miracle. I never felt like God was going to heal him this side of the grave, although I would have loved it, definitely.
We still got a miracle.
We did get a miracle. So anyway, I'm laying there, and they break my water, and it's like everywhere, all over the place. But he was born, we have a picture. You could tell something was off with this syndrome. They do have a bit of a Down syndrome look. In fact, Down syndrome is trisomy 21. It's on the 21st pair. So he did have that look, but it wasn't so much that. It's just, and I knew his face was going to be cute because.
Because you cute.
Yeah. But,
she is.
But with this, you don't know. There could be cleft palate, which is, cleft lip or whatever. But I knew he had a nice face. He just looked beautiful. He looked perfect to me. He didn't look weird to me at all.
We got to hold him.
I mean, of course, all I saw with his little face, and I do want to give a shout out to a friend. Her name was Debbie. She had she took pictures. I didn't even want to have pictures. She took pictures, which I am so thankful for. So Debbie, thank you again, because those are the only pictures I have of him.
Yeah.
And I thought he was beautiful. Later on, as I looked at him, I realized something was different.
Would you, if someone else was, finding out the same thing right now, would you give them advice to keep their child, or would you give them advice to let the child go? What would you say?
Well, I'll tell you, my experience, I was praying for healing. I was praying for God to give a miracle. And
speak up a little bit.
So I was praying for the Lord to really give us a healed baby, a whole baby, a baby here that we could keep. The Lord did give us a miracle, because during that hour, I wouldn't trade that hour.
Yeah.
for any hour. It was a great hour. We got to hold Jesus, because if you love the least,
Thank you, dear Jesus.
you love. You know, there isn't much, less. The doctors wanted to terminate him. You know, he could only live an hour. His body was broken, his heart was broken, his brain was broken. But we loved him, and we loved Jesus in that little baby. And he had half his body was already in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like
it was a special hour.
Yeah, I would say it's very, very painful, but I think in the end it's healing and there's a closure. I can relate to after he was pronounced dead. I had him till, obviously that was probably, I don't know, maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I had him till maybe midnight or so with me, holding him as friends and family came in and saw him and
sang with us,
prayed with us. And I held him, and I mean, I remember the nurses coming to take him away. They had to take him away.
What does that feel like?
I have to tell you, I don't know if I've shared this with you. At the time, it was incredibly difficult to let go of him and give him to the nurse. I remember the nurse taking him and going, "Oh, he's so warm." I mean, I had held him tight all that time. The hardest thing, though, was when they did, take him and they wrapped him and she covered his face.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to see his face covered. I was like, he had a beautiful face. And that was painful, but at the same time it was, okay, I'm going to see you on the other side.
Amen.
I'm going to see you on the other side. And you're not going to have a broken body. You're going to have a perfect body.
What about hope? Can you give someone hope that's watching? They're here, and they're drawn into what you were talking about.
Yeah. Well, I think every baby is God's creation. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't, he's a creator, and he creates for eternity, not for 60 minutes or 10 minutes or 100 years. He creates for eternity. Mm-hmm. And we got to hold that little guy for a long time, and it was special, and I just feel really blessed.
Yeah, I look at it as you were able to really hold on to one of God's thoughts. Mm-hmm. He thought of that baby. His name's Scott? Aaron. He thought of Aaron.
Aaron Michael.
And said, Aaron will be birthed to you all.
Amen.
And he says, I'm going to allow you to hold on to something. I want you to know how precious of a creation that I can make, and I'm going to allow that to go through you all, which makes you just as precious. It's an amazing.
It is amazing. And we have 5 children here on the earth and 2 grandchildren, and every time we get to participate in their lives, we just feel blessed as parents and grandparents that God has given us these gifts, because they are gifts.
I know, if I don't know anything else, I know that he have taught you all how to appreciate life.
Amen. Amen.
Can I just share one more thing?
Go for it.
After we lost Courtney and then had subsequent children, they never take, all our children never take the place of the ones that were lost.
Nice.
But it was healing for me personally to have an experience after Aaron. There was a part of me that did not want to take that risk again, because part of the problem that the doctors would tell you is of my age. I was only 35, but they'll, you got old eggs, so, but to take the chance to have another baby with this could possibly happen. Could this happen again? That's just going, even though the odds are, it's not, but you still have that, just to know that we did have a subsequent pregnancy. Elise, she's a blessing. All our children are blessings. Melissa, Jessica, Courtney, Scott, Brent, Elise, Aaron, all blessings. And they're not ours, they're the Lord's, and we get to
be good stewards.
We get to spend all our our days with them. But I would just be encouraged that don't be afraid of possibly another pregnancy, another
Keep
birth.
going.
I don't know when the timing would be. That's something that was healing for me, and I was lucky enough to be able to do that. I know some people may not have that opportunity, but I was. So if you do have that opportunity, just don't. It's not that they'll ever replace the baby, because they're unique individuals. But it was healing.
So one thing, as I shared before, when Courtney died, I was afraid of death. I was actually afraid to look at face to face.
How did you do with your son?
So here I am looking at a son that's going to pass away in an hour. I'm going to have to see it happen. And this is the first time holding a child that was about ready to
actively
die.
passing away.
And all I can say is, Jesus has authority over death. His resurrection life is in us.
Yes.
And
He
death has
conquered
no
death.
victory, and death has no sting.
You're going to make me have some church over here.
Jesus is our resurrection life. And it's awesome, and I get to share that inspiration with everyone. Death has no victory, and we are blessed in Jesus.
Well, I have to say this. Now that we're at the end of our show, I just want to share something really quick. 2 things. One thing that comes to mind is, man, she has walked in the same shoes, and he has walked in the same shoes as Mary. Can you imagine how Mary felt as she watched Jesus hang on that cross and knew that he would be leaving soon? The pain and the agony that she suffered, the loss, began mourning while she watched. She knew that it was going to happen. But what I find so amazing about it all, that same promise that Jesus made to get back up, is that same promise that says that he's got this baby. He says to be absent with the body, be present with the Lord. He had the baby with him, and that's amazing to me. And then the second thing, I think of a good friend. They're out of Alabama, and they gave birth to a child, and the baby came out looking Down syndrome, and which she is. But to remember that babies are a gift no matter how they come. They are a gift, and they have embraced this child in such a way that now they have birthed what you call the Miracle Foundation. And they are helping people all over the world who has children who are Down syndrome. And so just because your child is born unique or special does not mean that it is the end of the world. They are still a gift from God, and they are still made for a purpose. They may change the lives of someone else, they may bless the lives of someone else, but they are certainly a purpose. And so I just thank you on today for watching. And if you're faced with the same situation as Doug and Theresa, please don't give up. Please don't give up. You go forward, you trust God, and know that he is not going to let you down. That baby's special. In one way or the other. Just sit there and wait and see what God is going to do. God bless you. Thanks for watching. Ciao. How can we keep the city pretty when our infants are on the streets, people? Get these kids a place to sleep.
I got something to say.
I got
something to say.
Look at the fathers, they're head of their household.
Thanks for joining us on I've Got Something to Say. For more episodes, tune in to NDC International Network on Roku. Thanks for watching.